Well, what this really boils down to is a question of risk. How much risk would the United States be taking if it were to withdraw all of its troops this year from Afghanistan and not leave behind some relatively small force that could continue to train and advise the Afghan forces? That's really not the question of whether they have the will to fight or whether they can fight. They've shown that they can. But the issue then is how to sustain that over a longer period of time, because the Taliban, in fact, are continuing to fight, and they're not going to stop when the U.S. leaves. And when the combat operations for the U.S. end this year, the Taliban will still be there. Can the Afghans maintain and sustain a military that's cohesive and doesn't begin to splinter, doesn't lose confidence, and doesn't possibly even collapse in the absence of American support? Because the question that raises then is, if the Afghans were to begin to fray or even fall apart, would the Taliban then be able to regain power in Afghanistan? And if that happened, would the al-Qaeda fighters be far behind? It's not just a U.S. problem or an issue. It's also the other countries that have been fighting with the U.S. all these years in Afghanistan, NATO allies and non-NATO countries as well. And they will not stay in Afghanistan if the United States does not stay. And in fact, they're waiting for the U.S. to finish this agreement with the Afghans because it's just a U.S.-Afghan agreement. Once that's done, then the other countries need to establish their own agreements with the Afghan government. So there's a sequence of events that has to happen, and it has to begin with the Americans.